This is honestly the hardest video I've ever had to make in my life. I've gone back and forth on this decision for a very long time. I've spent months trying to figure out what the right thing to do is. But after a lot of thought, I have decided that I will no longer be doing Sidemen videos. Today, 31st of May, will be my final Sidemen video. Even saying these words out loud, it just doesn't feel real. The Sidemen have been such a huge part of my life for over 12, 13 years. For almost half my life, the Sidemen have been my second family. We've grown up together. We've traveled the world together. We built something that none of us ever thought was possible, especially back then when we were making random videos together and playing GTA. I still remember those early days with no idea that tens of millions of people were going to be watching us on the channel. And somehow this turned into an incredible journey. Together we've done things I never thought were possible. We sold out arenas, we sold out stadiums, we've broken records, we've made Netflix shows, we've done a lot. And we've shared so many good moments on YouTube. And those moments will stay with me for the rest of my life. We've been there for each other through some of the highest highs and the lowest lows of our lives. I've watched these boys grow into incredible men. I've watched these guys grow into fathers. I've watched them grow into husbands. And I'm so incredibly grateful to experience that journey alongside of them. The truth is, nothing bad has happened. This decision is completely my own. Over the last few years, I felt myself being pulled in a lot of directions than ever before. Between everything else in my life, I feel like I've been running at full speed at 100 miles an hour. I spent so long trying to be everything for everyone, trying to be everywhere, trying to do it all, trying not to let anyone down. But somewhere along the way, I started losing the balance of my own life. I found it hard to make enough time for myself. I definitely found it hard to find time for my family. I found it hard to make time for the people I love. And I realized that something has to change. The Sidemen deserve someone who can give 100%. And right now I know I can't do that.
Guys, welcome back to the channel. So guys, I don't know, today we're going to be talking about KSI, yeah? So I think for about a month now, he's left the Sidemen. I've been wanting to do this video for a while, but guys, I've not really had the chance to do the video. So I think a lot of things I've got to say about him, but I think I want to let people give their opinions. I think when he came out and said he's no longer with the Sidemen, one of his people, one of his Sidemen brothers or whatever came out to also give their own opinions. You know, I think there are many things I want to say about him, but I'm just going to be cute. Let's see what Toby's got to say.
Obviously, it's been a difficult week for a lot of people. You lot have heard the news that JJ has left the Sidemen for reasons, I would say personal to him, but he actually explained it all to you in the video. He's left for his own reasons that he's disclosed, and he's made a decision that is right for him. And all the boys, myself included, we've all come to terms with that decision and we respect it. Obviously, it was a bit of a shock to us when he initially told us. But that we've come to terms with it, we've accepted it, and Like, we get it. There comes a time in your life as a human where you have to make a decision that is right for you, or you got to end up living with regret. Let me cut the music, sorry. There comes a time in life where you have to make a decision that's right for you, or you end up living with regret. In fact, there's probably multiple times in life where you actually do just have to put yourself first. But like you said, like I said, myself, the boys, it took us a little bit to kind of process it, as it would, because this is something that we've been doing together for the last 13 years nearly. But yeah, we respect his decision, and we're wishing him all the best, and we're ready to crack on with the rest of us and get things done. Now, I've seen a lot of like negativity towards JJ and members of his team, and first of all, you know what I'm going to say about sending abuse to people. I say this every time, and people go, "Oh, Toby, you're too soft, rare. Fuck all that. Stop being dickheads, bro. Stop being dickheads. You don't have to abuse people to get your point across. You don't have to send people death threats or racial abuse to get your point across. Stop being a dickhead, bro. That's not how life works. And it's easy for people because internet fingers. Real life, you get a smack in the face from certain men, so just chill out. The news of JJ's departure from the Sidemen didn't come out the way that I think any of us would have wanted it to. And like we said in the what do you call it, that we put, the statement that we put out, it would have been nice if we were able to do some kind of like proper farewell to actually like commemorate like the end of an era, if you will. But that's just not how the stars aligned. That's not how things happened for whatever reasons, and we are where we are. With JJ, I think people need to really understand what he means when he says those things, and you actually need to pause and really think about it to really get where he's coming from. I've seen a lot of people go at him because, and this is not just me like defending him to say, oh, let me defend my friend. That's my boy still. That's my day one still. That's my boy. But this is not just me saying it. This is me just trying to get people to just understand the full picture, because on socials, there's a lot of clips with minimal context and people just run with their narratives. Like, I've seen so much shit online about, oh, reasons for this and reasons for that and who's behind this, blah, 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 blah. Fuck that. People need to really understand what it is like to be in the Sidemen, and you need to understand us as individuals. And I feel like having watched us so much over the years, you will understand us as individuals. All of you know what JJ is like. The man is aspirational, he's driven, like he has his goals that he wants to hit and the things that he wants to do. Yeah. If he wasn't like that, he wouldn't be the JJ that we all grew up to know and love. He wouldn't have done all these amazing things that like we give him the plaudits for. Do you get me? The next thing you need to understand is the Sidemen calendar. So deep it, there's 7 of us in the Sidemen. To have all 7 of us in any Sidemen shoot means that all 7 of us have to be aligned in our calendar. That means if we're going to shoot a video this week, we all have to have the same day free, the same time free, usually, to get it done. The fact that you need to be in sync with 6 other people at any given time to produce content where you're all there means that your life then becomes so regimented around that particular schedule. When I've seen some people say like, oh, JJ's dropped Sidemen when he could have just dropped this or he could have just dropped that, it's not, they're not equal. They're not the same level. They're not the same level. Like 3 days of Sidemen shoot is not the same as 3 days of Britain's Got Talent. Because that 3 days of Sidemen shoot is 3 days that have to be synced with 6 other people's days. Does that make sense? So when you look at it that way, all of our actual individual lives will, by proxy, revolve around the Sidemen calendar. It revolves around the Sidemen calendar. And then you put in everything else around it, because the Sidemen calendar is the hardest thing to organize. When JJ said he's had to take a step back from Sidemen to give himself more time for family, right now his life is Sidemen calendar, then family and his goals around that. Him taking a step back from Sidemen is now going to allow him to put family as the core bit of his calendar, and he can build in his goals around that, but he's never ever neglected family.
Now, KSI leaving the Sidemen is bigger than a lot of people think. This just isn't any random creator leaving a group. This officially marks the end of one of the greatest eras in YouTube history. Now, the Sidemen have stayed together as a group for over 10 years, which is very difficult for a content group to do. Now, during that time period, we've seen other content groups such as Team 10 fade away. The exact same thing happened with the Clout House. And you could possibly chuck in FaZe Clan as well, which had a full rebrand entirely. The Sidemen were never meant to be this successful. Fans went from watching a group of teenagers playing FIFA, to then doing crossbar challenges, to then becoming millionaires, with even some of them getting married, having children, and building multi-millionaire companies. For many people around the world, including myself, the Sidemen have quite literally existed for half of our lives. And KSI himself even came out and said that the group has been like his second family, and that they had all grown up together. So as you can tell, this is a very emotional moment for everybody. Now, the Sidemen wasn't just built by one person. But if there was someone in the group who took it from just being a YouTube channel to a mainstream brand, that person was KSI. Before the Sidemen, KSI was already one of the biggest FIFA creators on YouTube. But KSI's biggest impact on the Sidemen came way beyond YouTube. Let's take music for example. At a time where a lot of YouTubers tried to make music and were laughed at, KSI was actually very successful. He would release high charting songs with major artists. And as much as people like to say that KSI's music isn't that good and that his music is tired, he still pulls in a lot of streams and releases a lot of hits. From there, people that never ever watched a KSI video would then know who KSI was. And every time KSI's status grew, more people would then become aware of the Sidemen. But if music was the one that expanded KSI's reach, then boxing took it to a completely different level. His fights against Joe Weller and Logan Paul introduced KSI to millions of people who had never even watched a Sidemen video before. KSI was a mainstream celebrity. But the most touching and significant thing about why KSI is leaving the Sidemen is about the reason why he is walking away. KSI spoke about his mum's 60th birthday and how he could count in the past few years how many times he had seen his family. And this made him reflect a lot more on his life. So KSI has now decided to leave the Sidemen to spend more time with his family, have much better balance in his life, focus more on himself and his personal relationships, and have a lot less constant pressure that comes with being involved in so many things. Now, some fans think this is a prank, whereas his family and friends are even coming out and saying that no, KSI is genuinely being serious. But if this is really the end for KSI and the Sidemen, this chapter will always be remembered as one of the greatest stories.
And that he's full of himself. And also people also insinuated that Simon Cowell also was a major influence for him quitting his his position as Sidemen. People say, I'm sure Simon must have put him to the side and said, you can do better, you're better than the group. And especially with his presence on Britain's Got Talent. I mean, are you going to deny that? But the thing is, though, people are also alluding into the fact that it's his ego that is making him quit. I can do better, I can do. Like, he's just looking at these things from various different angles. Like, that's what I'm talking about. And even in the video where they're comparing Speed and MrBeast, yes, guys, Speed is so more mainstream, and especially with his coverage of the World Cup, it's going to go even more mainstream. It's going to go even more mainstream. And that's the fact. It's just something that's really nuts, and it's something that's really crazy, you know, and wow, I can't even believe it. And it just goes back, was he's saying all these newbies was Speed, and yes, believe it or not, MrBeast, he's saying these are people who, when they were 4 years old, they didn't even know how to upload something on YouTube, and I was already uploading something on YouTube. And so what has been come of what I gave to YouTube? So that is how, let's say, big KSI is. KSI is very big, and that's how huge KSI is. He knows this game. He has been on the streets for a very, very long time. So that's what is actually he's looking at, and he's saying, oh God, I don't really know. And to be fair, down the video, you're also going to see how there were already signs that he was actually going to actually leave. And there was also a video where he was talking about, if with the main groups, and he was giving examples with the Harry Styles and everything. And he said he believes he's the Harry Styles of the group, meaning he's going to go on to be the most successful of the group. Maybe to be fair, he is going to be the most successful of the group, you know. But let's just watch and see what he has to say.
Most groups or all groups, there's always like a Harry Styles, or, you know, in One Direction, or a Beyonce in Destiny's Child. You could argue that I am that of the Sidemen.
Visually, outside looking in, when you think about the Sidemen, it'll always be KSI.
But that's just because, you know, I've done more things.
So guys, this is my final thoughts. I don't know, with KSI, I don't know. It's very, very complicated because there are many things he has said, there are many things he has done. I even forgot to add, guys, he had beef with Justin Bieber. You also have to remember that Justin Bieber actually started with YouTube. Yeah, Justin Bieber started with YouTube, and before he became this global star, he started with YouTube. He was uploading videos, let's say, covers of Chris Brown and everything before he was signed onto a label. Yeah, he was. So I think maybe he's looking at it and saying, maybe I've got to be this way, I've got to be this way, I've got to reach this level. In his mind, he believes he has not reached the level of fame he has to reach. Concerning to, let's say, Justin Bieber, MrBeast, KSI, not KSI, KSI, and also other people you could actually think about. So guys, that's all I've got to say about the video. I hope you like. Please comment what you want to comment, and please be very respectful in the comment section. Thank you. So forget to add, I know I've just said thank you. I'm also going to cover topics like I think I wanted to do, let's say, a series on Hailey Bailey, and also people like Veronica Piper, and also Lizard Waste. There are many things you have to expect on this channel, guys. Bye bye for the final time.